We had a bit of a hint towards this roster. We had a bit of an inkling of what this roster would be. We saw it while we were going through the Premier groups and through those teams. Triumph have finally announced their newest roster. I believe it's their 9th or 10th roster iteration as of now. It's a massive trio they've added into their team, joining the core of Bwills and Shakezullah. They've added Viz, cxzi, and Cooper. Going back into these three players, we'll look into a bit of their history and see what they've been able to do in the past and what to expect from these guys moving into the season of Premier and forward. Let's look at Cooper. He's not a player we've seen play in quite some time. Used to play for E United, has been inactive since Swole Patrol disbanded back in September of 2020. And he did stand in for Mythic during a couple tournaments, the DreamHack Masters Winter 2020 and ESEA Winter Cash Cup. But overall, Cooper has been pretty inactive since Swole Patrol disbanded, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's been able to work on in his time as a free agent and in his time just working on himself inside and outside of the server. We do know what to expect from Cooper, though. He's a pretty solid opper. He's a very smart opper. I consider him more of a device-style opper in terms of positioning and using your brain rather than going for insane picks and plays, more like the junior style. But I think Cooper could be a very solid IGL under the tutelage and utilization of Shakezullah. Then we look at cxzi. He was selected to stand in for Gen.G in ESL Pro League Season 12 when DAP stepped down to go to Valorant. Didn't do too bad at a .94 rating over 8 maps, and he's a pretty solid rifler. He's made it to FPL multiple times and actually hasn't played too much Team CS. But he is a very solid player in terms of raw skill and aiming power, and so it's not surprising to see him actually on a roster on a team like Triumph. He has the skill to be here, and when he learns the team play and the coordination required to hang at this top level of Counter-Strike, he will be a very solid team at this level, and I think Shakezullah will do a good job of that. You'll notice when talking about Triumph, I mentioned Shakezullah a lot. I think Shakezullah is probably the best IGL in terms of Tier 2 North America, and I would not be surprised if Triumph doesn't go towards a Tier 1 status if Shakezullah didn't get picked up by a Tier 1 team. He has been one of the best, if not the best, up-and-coming IGLs in North America for quite some time. And now with Vanity's departure, he is pretty much the undisputed Tier 2 North American IGL in terms of that crown. I think Ben Leet over at High Coast will be hot on his heels to reclaim that crown. Ben Leet, another good up-and-coming IGL on the scene, but I think Shakezullah does take the cake right now. He's an extremely competent IGL, an extremely good team builder. So we'll see how that all works out with Shake in charge. And also Viz. He's the last player. I've talked about Viz a little bit. He's a player I've seen coming up through Advanced. He's a very capable player. He's an extremely solid rifler, but he also has a lot of team experience playing back on teams like Polar Ace and Third Impact, among others, in the last season of Premier. So we'll see how he does. Had a 1.16 rating in Incognito last season, and he's a very, very solid player in terms of skill and in terms of competency. He's a smart player, so I think he'll fit well into Shakezullah's system, and it won't take too much to really overhaul him into a new player. I think he'll fit more or less like a puzzle piece and join in nicely with Shake and Bwills. I think the more effort is going to have to be put towards Cooper and cxzi rather than a lot of the effort on Viz in this sort of scenario. Viz knows how to put the effort in, he's done it before, and he's going to be a very motivated player. He's made a pretty quick leap, advanced to MDL and then to Triumph, a team that is itching to get out of MDL and back into ESL Pro League, a team that you expect to be challenging for those close qualifier victories to scrape into tournaments in NA. So this is a solid team with a solid lineup. They lost to High Coast as not Triumph in the Mythic Winter Cup just last weekend, but I think that as their first series of games together, it was a good bit of practice for them. They'll jump into ESEA Premier Season 36 next season, and I think they'll have a lot more time at the practice server than they did over the weekend. The weekend was a good proving ground. They did get clapped by High Coast with 2 stand-ins, which were Boo and RCF, But I still think that this team has a lot of potential, and this is why I rated them so highly in that Premier overview. This is a very solid team, a team that should be back into Pro League relatively quickly here, and a team that should be challenging for spots in North American tournaments through those closed qualifiers. And again, overall, the roster is Shakezullah, Bwills, Cooper, cxzi, and Viz, with Tacitus as the coach, formerly an analyst of Triumph, who got promoted to the coach job when MCE went over to Chaos. And now, we'll see how Triumph is going to perform moving forward. They're going to be playing in the 3rd North American ESEA Winter Cash Cup, slated to play on January 23rd, which will actually be before Premier, so they'll have a little bit more time in the server before the actual season of Premier starts. That group stage best of threes throughout the entire season, so the more best of threes they can play en route to their season of Premier, the better for them. So we'll see how that all goes down. January 23rd, I believe that is this Saturday. It is this Saturday. So keep an eye on that, see how these teams do in the $15,000 prize pool that is the ESEA Winter Cash Cup. So Triumph, they have a good chance at trying to pick up that bag, and we'll see what this team is capable of moving into their season of Premier. Well, folks, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like, comment what you think about this roster, what you think about the players they have added as well. And please do subscribe if you are new, or if you have forgotten already. It really helps me out a ton, trying to hit 50 by the end of this month if possible. So thank you all for watching this video. I'll see you next time, and peace out.